Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, joining us from beautiful Germany is Caterina Reinker. Hey, Caterina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Vasco. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So there's a reason why I'm really interested to hear Caterina's answers to the questions we have for her today and this whole week, because Caterina is a social anthropologist. She's also a passionate Scrum Master, of course, that's why she's here. And she regards organizations like villages or cities with their own language, institutions, and explicit and many implicit rules as well. Caterina works and lives in Germany and helps groups of people, big and small, in their agile journey. So, Caterina, that was a short intro. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
I'm working in Germany, in Cologne at the moment, remotely, as many of us do since the COVID pandemic started. And I'm still joining the teams I'm working with from my home in a remote setup. And I think it's really astonishing how well it works and how good we can keep connected with all the online tools, Zoom, Teams, and so on and so on. And how I became a Scrum Master. I was just looking for a new path in my career. I was working at the university and decided the academics are not really the place I want to spend my entire life. And with the academics, it's quite a life choice. At least that is how I felt it to be. So I looked out for something new where I can still put all the skills I got from my studies in good use. And I was really flustered to find that role called Scrum Master and all what it contains, because it is really, really similar to the work as an ethnographer as I did before. In social anthropology, we really much focus on qualitative methods and entering a field with a very open mind. And that is what I think is also very useful in the work as a Scrum Master, to come to a team, not with your closed mindset or your really big book of checklists, but just like be an open book, have an empty notebook with you, and just start discovering and exploring what you find in the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Discovering and exploring what you find in the team. And as we do that, sometimes we, of course, bump the head against the proverbial wall. And because today is Monday, Caterina, we want to hear one of those stories from you where you did go into a team with an open-minded, or perhaps not, and an empty notebook to discover and explore, but things didn't go as you expected. So tell us that story, Caterina. We'll dive into the conclusions and the takeaways later on, but first, walk us through that story.
I think one of the main challenges sometimes in the role of a Scrum Master is that you work with very technical teams, developers, architects, or any other technical roles like engineers. And usually Scrum Masters can be from that field as well, also being developers themselves, and then change their direction, their focus. But ever so often, people in the Scrum Master role are from totally different fields, like myself, from a more social or cultural, academic perspective. And this can be sometimes really hard because you're with a group of people, they're really into the technical aspects, and you sit there like, what are they talking about? I don't know. And at first, that can seem really daunting, and you feel like, am I at the right place? Am I doing the right job? Do I need to know more of these technical details? And that was my first really big learning, that I don't need to be afraid of that situation, because in the teams you have 5, 6, 7 people that have this technical skills. They don't need another person with this technical skill set because they have it already. What they need is someone with a different perspective, with a more social view on the setting, how the team work together. And this is what I learned really early on, that I don't have to be afraid of these situations. And for instance, I had a very specific situation where a team didn't know where to go, right or left, with a technical decision. And with how it is very often with technical decisions, you don't really have this right direction. It's just two options, just choose one. We don't know which is the better one. And so at first I really felt like I have to provide them an answer with, and
did you try to provide them?
I tried.
So how did you do that?
Read.
Because of course you didn't have the technical background.
Yeah, I started reading stuff on the internet about the technical details, and then maybe figuring out the holy grail. Yeah, I know now where to go. But of course, that is not really what I as a Scrum Master need to do with the team. What I need to do with the team in a situation like this is to figure out with them themselves, to keep the conversation going, and also to give the ground. Hey guys, we just try something and then we learn something, and then we either continue in that direction or we change the path. And that was very very important for me to learn that this is the role of the Scrum Master, not having the answer.
Actually, that's a very good point from different perspectives. So the most obvious perspective is that we shouldn't try to give answers in a field where we don't really know much about. So would be, I guess, the obvious lesson, right? Like maybe, I don't know how you felt at that time, but maybe insecure about providing some guidance on the decision making, and maybe not so happy to get then the pushback from the team. No, that's not such a good idea. Might be one of the consequences. But I think there's another lesson here, and I would be interested to hear your thoughts on that. The lesson I have in mind is that at the end of the day, it's not the Scrum Master who needs to live with the decision. It's the team that needs to live with the decision, and potentially some other stakeholders, like other teams as an example. And therefore, the Scrum Master, although we might have a critical role to play in terms of facilitating getting to a decision, we really should step out of the decision-making process, right? I mean, we may facilitate it, but not really be part of, finding the right information, reading stuff on the internet, asking other teams, whatever that might be. But on the other hand, we might bring questions such as, do we feel that we have involved the right people in making these decisions? Does anyone in the team have a reason to feel uncomfortable with making this decision? And those kinds of questions help the team to come to a shared agreement on what is the best decision given what they know, right? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, and I think the shared agreement is also an important point here, because I think ever so often in a team, you have this point in time we cannot come to a shared conclusion, because 4 people think this is the right thing to do. The other 4 people think the other thing is the right to do. And no one is right or wrong. It's just 2 options. And for me, in my role, it's really important and also help the team go through these phases where they feel it's okay that we are not on the same page, and we can still go forward together with an informed decision. It may not be my preferred option we now choose. Mine, speaking as a developer of the team. And guiding a team through these phases where they are in disagreement, but still enable them to move forward with the technical decision. I think that is a very important lesson I also had to learn, because Agile or Scrum is not about consensus. It is about making decisions, learning, improving, adapting, and not about everyone is on the same page at the same time. We just need all the important information to make a good decision. I think that is a very important thing to keep in mind.
Absolutely. That's a great reminder. Yeah, we can disagree, but we need to commit to move on, to take the steps and do something else, whatever that something else might be, but together as a team. Thank you for sharing that story, Caterina.
Thank you.
Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests helped their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.